Hi, my name is Ken Foxworth, and I just want to say thank you for coming in my world. And the sponsor is Minnesota Spokesman-Recorder, and this is my podcast. Thanks for the spokesman. And I just wanted to say that we have a fantastic human being here, and that's our Chief Morales, who's in charge of the Metropolitan Transportation. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. Good afternoon. Hey, Ken, before we even begin, I just want to say thank you for inviting me to your show, your podcast, and giving me the opportunity to share our vision with your audience.
Oh man, you're a blessing, really. I just want them to know truly what is your history. Can you tell me a little bit, not even a little bit, tell me everything you know, how you got here. But first of all, your history, because your history is so important because a lot of people need to know who you are.
No, I appreciate the opportunity to share this story. It's not an easy story, it's a challenging story, but nevertheless, one I'm willing to share. And, it starts in the Lower East Side of Manhattan during the crack epidemic. I grew up in a single family home on welfare in the projects to a drug addicted mom. Uh, my mom had me when she was 19 years old. I found out later in life that I was a bastard child. My father was already engaged to be married, and it explained a lot of his absence, why he wasn't there, how I was treated. Uh, she found men, she brought him home, just trying to give me a male role model, but these men came in our lives. They addicted her to drugs. They took the opportunity to beat up on her, beat up on me. I was fortunate enough to find a boxing program in the boys' club where I wasn't looking to box, but I found a male role model. His name was Juan Rivera, and he taught me how to box. I went into boxing with the intention of, first of all, I wanted that male role model. I wanted that positive attention, but more importantly, I wanted to learn how to fight so that I can beat those men up who were hurting my mom. Problem was, but by the time I got big enough, strong enough, good enough, those men were long gone, and I had repressed feelings. I had pain within me that I had to release and find an avenue for. And public service is where that's at. But more importantly, I realized early on in life, at the age of 12, 13, that I did not want to repeat this vicious cycle of addiction. And I had to learn how to love myself, to believe in me, so that I can do that. And while I was lucky and I was able to escape that, my baby brother was not. I just lost my baby brother September 28th at 7:48 p.m. 2023 in that same housing project apartment. Unfortunately, his wife overdosed 6 years earlier. So that vicious cycle still remains in my life, still personally affects me and haunts me. And I run now. I used to box, like I said, I made it to the professional level, but I run now. I run marathons. I just think I'm running away from my problems. We all have them.
Correct.
Right? We hide them. But this is why I'm effective in the job that I'm doing here, because I lead through empathy, respect, and professionalism, understanding that we are meeting people sometimes at their lowest point in life. And all I want to do is help them recover and get to a better place.
Can you tell the audience your superpower? Because I think your superpower is called 3D. Can you explain that?
Yeah, right. So, my mantra in life, and when I'm having a tough time, I coined this determination, dedication, and discipline. I had to be determined when I was getting beat up, when I was getting told I wasn't going to succeed. I had to be determined to prove them all wrong. to show them that I was going to succeed. But that dedication is you have to be dedicated to your craft. Without dedication, you're just going to give up and be all over the place. And then that discipline is showing up. Showing up is half the battle and just following through. So every morning when I wake up, I choose to be happy or sad, right? You're happy or sad. And I choose to be happy because I know the challenges life's going to throw at me throughout the day. And imagine if I started that day off sad. I'd just be miserable by the end of the day. So I gotta say, life beats you up. But I love it. I look in that mirror and I remember to tell myself, I love the man I see.
That's fantastic. Outstanding. The other thing that I want them to know as for you is one, you got your high school diploma. Expand more.
Yeah, I got my high school diploma, but that was no easy feat, right?
Tell me about that.
Well, I was never a good student. School was always challenging for me. I just didn't receive information well enough. But I was lucky enough to take the NYPD written exam. Didn't do well there either. I just basically passed that exam, but it was good enough to get hired as a police officer. So I was absolutely happy to receive that opportunity.
And that was 25 years
No,
that you was
that
in that service?
Oh no, the NYPD. I was in NYPD for 30 years.
30 years.
I actually retired with 32 years.
Okay.
But I started in 1990 when I was 23 years old. And at the time, only a high school diploma was required.
Okay.
Now, I had a mentor by the name of Kevin Clark, who was my special operations lieutenant at the time. And I didn't realize that he was an African American. He is an African American. He's still a friend today, my mentor for over 30 years. But at the time, he told me, hey, I think you should start taking college courses. And I was like, no, I'm good. I'm good because the chief of department at the time, that's a only 1 star, 4 star position in the NYPD. I said, he only has a high school diploma. He's at the top of his game. That's all I need to rise to the tops. He goes, no, college is going to become a requirement. Just start taking one class at a time. And I'm glad he expressed it that way because I think I lacked confidence.
Yes.
I lacked the ability to believe in myself.
Yes.
So I started taking the one class at a time. And I have to admit, it took me 14 years to get my bachelor's degree.
Now you're going for your master's degree.
No. I took a couple of years off.
Okay.
And then the New York City Council had sponsored a leader certificate course where they paid for 4 college credits. Since I already had my bachelor's degree, this was graduate courses. So I had taken 4 graduate courses. I completed the course. I was happy with that. I say several months later, a guidance counselor from John Jay College of Criminal Justice gave me a call and said, Mr. Morales, we noticed you completed the leadership certificate program. You have 4 graduate courses in the bank. What are you going to do with them? So I'm not going to do anything with them. I've completed the course. She goes, well, what if I told you we could apply these 4 graduate courses towards a master's degree? You'll be 1/3 of the way done. And I started thinking about this. I go, wow, well, I was in the military. I was prior enlisted. Then I had applied for a commission with the United States Navy Reserve. So I was like, okay, I'll get the GI Bill to help me with money. So it wasn't that expensive. And it took me another 7 years to complete my master's degree, but I have a master's of science. And I'm a FBI National Academy graduate, session 214.
Fantastic. Those 3Ds worked, didn't it?
They absolutely work, but it's not easy. I have to constantly remind myself of determination, dedication, and discipline.
That's right. Now, from that, you have put 30 years or 32 years as a policeman. You put 25 years?
22 years.
22 years in the Navy. And then from that, you became one of the first Latinos. And so in the office that you served in New York, can you explain a little bit about that?
Right. So after doing about 30 years in the NYPD, I was given an opportunity to serve as the first deputy police commissioner in the city of Mount Vernon, New York. Yes, I was the first Hispanic to reach that level, and I'm great for the opportunity. Glenn Scott, who was the police commissioner at the time, brought me in for an interview. We sat down, we spoke for several hours, and we immediately knew that there was a relationship there where we were going to work off one another and bring the city to a new level. And I'm gracious and happy for that opportunity.
That's fantastic. Now, here's my thing. You have done so much fantastic work. What got you here?
Well, I was actually retired. So my wife and I, we purchased an apartment in Puerto Rico, which we still have. I've only been there maybe 4 times, and I pretty much mastered retirement life in that 1 year. When I was given the call here, and I was told that they had an opportunity for me here, and I said, "Hey, thank you for the opportunity." I told them I'm not interested. I said no in Spanish. I guess they didn't understand me because they called me back several days later and they asked me to come out to Minnesota to give them an opportunity. And they set me up in St. Paul, Drury Hotel over there.
Mhm.
And well, they fed me all day long, and that was part of the secret. Feeding me, keeping me occupied. I went through the process. It worked out for me. It was at that point that I realized the impact of what the death of George Floyd not only meant for Minnesota, but more importantly, the world. Not even this country, the world was watching Minnesota. And I realized as a change agent, I realized based on my life experience and everything I've been through, I can be part of the solution and we can reimagine policing here.
You only been here for 1 year. Those goals that you have completed, I need you to share to our audience exactly what you have done.
Right. Well, we've been lucky. Before I can even tell you what I've done, I have to tell you about my experience here because
Okay.
uh, after that first time, they had called me back up and they asked me to bring my wife out here, and so she could get a lay of the land because happy wife, happy life.
Correct.
So I brought my wife out here. We got on the blue line at Target Field. And my first thing was I had facial hair on my face. I was wearing a hoodie with some jeans. We live in an urban environment, and that's how I dress. So I wanted to see how the police officers were going to treat me
Well,
as a man of color.
yes.
So first test was I looked at their uniform appearance, and I was pleased by that. They were dressed professionally. They were neat. Liked it. Test number one. Number two, I approached them. I wanted to see how they were going to treat me and give me directions. Well, I told them I was looking to go to Mall of America. Could they please guide me? They provided me with the guidance to get there. That was two. Then my wife and I got on we got on the blue line, and the police officers got on with us. There was approximately five of them, and we felt safe. The system was clean. We were like, okay. Then the officers got off at U.S. Bank. Well, the very next stop was Cedar and Riverside.
That's right.
And there was a homeless encampment up on the wall. And we realized something changed. But, growing up on the Lower East Side, crack epidemic, okay, it's uncomfortable, but I don't feel unsafe. Then we hit Franklin and started getting worse. And we were like, wait, we're looking at each other. Then, oh my God, we hit Lake Street. And we were in the war zone. It was the twilight zone. It was overrun by drug dealers, open air market, smoking, and we were like, what's going on here? And my wife just looked at me and she, without even having the job yet, she said, "This is mission number one. You have to fix this if you're going to make a difference here." Went on our tour, got to Mall of America. We enjoyed it. Spent about half hour there. Got back on that blue line to come back north and get back to our hotel where we were staying. So my wife had already given me the mission. Then I had to go through an interview with internal interview with the police officers, the civilian staff, Metro Transit, while my wife went on that green line by herself.
Mm.
Now she told me the green line was totally different experience. And it remains a challenge to this day because I haven't got there in the actual 10 months it took me
Okay.
to clean up. And I just want to say that my first mission was Lake Street. We have cleaned up Lake Street. It's
Correct.
not perfect, but it's 90% better than where it used to be. And I want to make this very clear. Transit is a small window to the larger societal issues that we see taking place in cities and counties throughout the state of Minnesota. And if we fail to acknowledge that, we will never find our way out of this addiction called fentanyl.
Yes. Talk a little bit more about that issue.
That issue is gripping us and terribly evaporating our young generation of people. It doesn't matter if you're black, you're white, you're Hispanic, you're from the native culture. I haven't seen many Asians touched by this, but nevertheless, it's affecting us as a human being. And if we don't acknowledge this, and if we don't collaborate and come together and use our limited resources to focus on this problem by itself, is going to get much worse because not only is chemical dependency a problem, so is unsheltered people and people that are suffering through mental behavioral crises.
The other thing, too, that I see is education. Can you expound on that? Because you got juveniles that's in the same situation as well. So, can you let me know and the audience know exactly what you're looking at in that aspect?
So I've been meeting with certain politicians. I'm meeting with certain partners, and what I'm trying to do is get our communities to start investing in recreational programs. Like I said, I was lucky enough to have the Boys Club of New York, and that helped me because it gave me a place to focus on boxing. But I get it, sports isn't for everyone. Maybe music, art, DJing, whatever that may be. If we don't invest in our educational system and give extracurricular activities, you're going to lose the attention of a young adolescent child. When I wasn't boxing, I was on those street corners. I got lucky. I got lucky because I wasn't in the wrong place at the right time. Because, like my mother always taught me, if I want to know who you are, I'll just see who you're hanging out with.
Correct. No, my thing is that right now what I'm looking at is they're saying that crime went up 30%. But I really believe that close to, I say, 85% is dealing with juveniles. Can you expound on that and what kind of programs that we can make outside of sports? Because I think that the problem is that education is not just sports. Education is getting you to a point, like you said, to get you to your high school diploma, to get you to your bachelor, to get you to your master's, to get you to your PhD, so you can express what you just said 15 minutes ago about what you had to deal with, being determined and being disciplined to understand that this is the right path that you can go to.
We need mentors. Without mentors, we aren't going to be successful because the dark, true reality, it's the same way I was a bastard child and I grew up without a male role model. That's about 90% of our minority households. And that's unfortunate, but that's factual. And without those mentors that serve as role models to guide us the way, to show us the light, we only know what we know. So by exposing young children to what success looks like, they only know the four corners that they stand on every day. And if that's the gangbanger out there, that's who they're gonna navigate toward. Because let me tell you, those drug dealers back in the 1980s, they were hot and sexy in me. When I had nothing and I had holes in my sneakers, and they're wearing all the latest clothing, they have all the women around them, and they have the Mercedes Benz, they have all the cars. You go, that's where I want to be. Thank God I was smart enough to think of the long game. I knew that I could make it fast and quick, but I wasn't going to keep it because my friend will be the one who's going to try to take it away from me.
You're right. Jesse Jackson used to say, short-term pleasure creates long-term pain. And I really believe that. The other thing too is that I understand, Chief Morales, is that what kind of community outreach have you given to the community so they can be in a position of understanding your methodology or what you're seeing for your goals?
So I understand that we're going to meet people at their lowest point in life. And through the police department, we have a homeless action team. And we've been doing outreaches. We've done several outreaches at the Mall of America. And what we do is we team up with community based partners, Radius Health, to have, and the reason why we do Mall of America is because it's an end line. But once we get there, especially during the winter, we want to bring people, we want to clear our trains, bring people in there and offer them the services that they need, whether they're unsheltered people, if they need, they want to clean themselves up. The issue that we have with that is that we can't force people into this behavior, these services. They have to want to clean themselves up. They have to volunteer for the services that we're offering them. And summertime, we give them some clothing to stay warm, give them something to eat, but that's temporary. That's a band-aid. I want to get to a place where I can make a person whole again so that we fulfill that goal that I think we all have in life, and that's just to be happy.
So you think, for me, I ride a light rail. You think those standards that you created this year, as for the rules, is that just a band-aid, or is it going to be in a position of being enforced stronger and stronger every year?
My goal is to enforce the code of conduct, and we just renewed it again, certifying what our rules and regulations are. As of state legislation that came out, we are reposting our fair enforcement process. We're making it clear that you have a duty and responsibility to pay your fare. Yes, I'm stepping it up incrementally. I took over Lake Street. We hired supplemental security. They're 24 hours at Lake Street, 24 hours on Franklin. We have them at 5 other locations, even at the airport as well. So we're utilizing more people in more places to show a human presence to deter the negative behavior that we are seeing there.
All right. There is some community agencies that you work with. Can you share a couple of them, please?
Right. So we've teamed up with 10 community based partners to help us offer these social services to people in need. And several of these groups are The Link, Roots Wellness, and All Our Boys. These are 3 of the 10 community based partners that we're dealing with now. And I'm happy for their partnership. I hope that it makes a difference and an impact in our community.
How do they make a difference?
Well, right now, what they do is they show up on our lines, the blue and green lines, because this state legislative program is only focused on the LRTs. And they go there and they offer services to people in need. Like I said, they are encountering the problems that we see. They are not law enforcement, but they are partners because I think that they're the bridge between the police and the people in need. So there's not. I don't want to create a hostile environment.
Mm-hmm.
So they are the bridge to say, hey, if you need help and you don't want to receive it from the police, you can receive it from us, and we'll help navigate you to recovery.
Yes, because I really believe that when you deal with transportation, you really looking, if you're looking at a body, you got veins. That's what transportation is. And from that big vein, you got a heart. And if you can control that heart with those veins, then you have a program and you're going to have a service that's going to be quality. And it's going to be in a position where people will be looking at this all over the United States. This, what you getting ready to create, I feel like is going to be that product that people will be looking at. Because I think by looking at New York, looking at Chicago, looking at Philly, all of them have the same problems that we have, but you're addressing them head on. And that's something that's so important.
Well, I have to thank Metro Transit and the Met Council because they've been very supportive and they've given me the resources to be successful at my job. I can't do this without their support, and I want to make that very clear. They have truly been great partners in this. They wanted to make a difference within the region in Minnesota. They brought on a new police chief who they believed in, and they're giving me the resources to get the job done. They're not only listening, they're providing me with the things that I need. One of the things that I needed that was simple was I told them we needed our own social media platforms so that we can communicate and get the message out to our customers and to the people that rely on public safety. And we recently, as of February 5th, launched 3 social media platforms. We launched an account on Facebook and one on Instagram at Metro Transit PD, all together, Metro Transit PD. And we launched X, formerly known as Twitter, currently owned by Elon Musk, at MTPD MN. X, MTPD MN.
Man, that's fantastic. I think there's another piece of this puzzle too, and I think that we are not even touching it. I mean, my thing is that yeah, you can arrest somebody, on the light rail, but the problem is that how long they're going to stay in jail or being sentenced because next thing you know, in 2 hours they're right back out. Can you explain what's going on with that?
I always said this problem is much bigger than policing. We aren't going to arrest our way out of it, and that's not the objective. I want to educate people. I want to give them the opportunity to recover. But yes, due to frustration of our public, they demand arrests. We do make arrests. We have a small population of recidivists, and that's the repeat offenders that, to your point, we arrest, they're re released, and they come back out again because of bail reform. Well, here's the reality of that it's not working because if Ernie Morales is a bad guy and you keep arresting me and I'm awaiting my court dates to catch up to me, eventually I may or I may not do some time. But in the meantime, I'm wreaking havoc within my communities and I'm getting emboldened. And if I'm a bad person and I like to rob and pillar the community, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to rob and pillar the community because there are no consequences. Now, I don't say to throw away the key and destroy this person's life. What I say is give them the tools and the resources to find out what their issue is. So I want to rehabilitate, right? I want to re-entry. But first of all, it starts with prevention, intervention, rehabilitation, and re-entry.
And that's perfect. So how can you get your message out there?
I think that opportunities like this, and I appreciate it, Ken. I appreciate you giving me this platform to speak and share my story, my vision, but it starts with repeating the message until people catch on. Because my experience here in Minnesota is people have good intentions, but they want to do their own thing. We have to start collaborating, putting our limited resources together so that we can get our arms around this problem.
And that's something that is so important. We always thinking that hey, somebody else have. No, it's not even that. The problem that I feel, man. Let me just take this and just be honest with you. We have a short attention span. 6 months, then next you know, we're going back to something else. How can we be in a position of saying, no, we're going to look at this for a year, so 2, 3, 4 years, and then come back on it? Because our attention is only to 6 months. And then next, we're going to another thing, or we forgot about the things that we fought for to make sure that this won't happen again. And next thing you know, I say about a year and a half later, it's happening again. How can we be in a position of looking at this and saying, look, we want to be in a position of having this done and move on so we can advance ourselves and advance our community in a different level. So they don't have to be in a position of being afraid of North, of being afraid of South. We need to be in a position of saying that, hey, we treat our own in our own community and treat it to a point where we got ourselves together and we learn how to protect each other in our own community. And then from that, we can create the same kind of platform that we can do for the whole state. Is that something that you're looking at?
Absolutely. I think one of the reasons why I was able to successfully get the job here at Metro Transit as the chief of police was because I had a 5-year vision and I shared that with them and I showed them the implementation of that vision. It wasn't going in there and speaking about it, it was walking them through my plan. And I believe that in order to be successful here in Minnesota, we have to start by having a discussion, getting the leaders in the room, which we do. I don't want to send the impression that we aren't meeting. We're meeting. But we have to have those conversations where we get in that room, have a discussion, then to devise a plan. Once we implement that plan, then we have to review that plan to see if it's working. And wherever we have to make adjustments, we come back, we make adjustments, we improve the process, and we keep moving the needle forward. The problem that I see here is that we're throwing money at problems without coming up with solutions. And they keep failing, and we keep finding some other program to throw money at and watch it fail. I'm quite frankly tired of throwing money at problems without just sitting down and doing the hard work.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. The other thing too is that yes, you got to throw out some money, but there's some money that needs to be thrown out, especially when it comes down to recruitment. How you be in a position where you already know that you got the Minneapolis police department and your department. What is the key thing to get retention, and what is the key thing to getting women and men to come to be police officers?
Well, first and foremost, I want to make this very clear. I need the full 100% support of the politicians and the media. Because, make no mistake about it, George Floyd was horrendous. Should have never happened. But it's happened in the past, and unfortunately, people, it's going to happen again in the future. Because we don't learn from our past. Unfortunately, we keep repeating history over and over again. But when you come out and you villainize a profession, law enforcement is a professional entity, but we are public servants. When you villainize that, what young person is going to want to come to work where they're constantly ridiculed, where they're attacked, where they aren't given the ability to do their job confidently? When you have a individual who's doubting, if I take action and I make a mistake, am I going to jail? Or is the bad guy going to jail? It seems like we're living in a bizarro world here, where the good guys have to question whether they're doing the right thing and the bad people are getting a pass. That's the reality. So, what young person in their right mind would want to enter that profession? What parent would want their child to be in that environment?
Well, I'm sorry, but I have to say this, and I have to say that the best job that my brother ever had was to be a policeman. He died 2 years ago.
I'm sorry for your loss.
And what's so crazy about it is that he was at one of the worst cities in the state of Texas, and that was Houston. And what was so crazy about it is that he got his master's degree in business administration. And with that, my brother Jonas, he changed that community. He changed the community because he did something that you was talking about. And that is just to be seen, be heard, and give them quality what? Service. And when you do something like that, then people will not just be running away from you. They will grab it to you to a point where they understand that they got your back and you got theirs. because from that, they want to be in a position of having a clean neighborhood. They wants to be in a position of having a transportation that will be smooth, that they don't have to hold their purse or be afraid of seeing somebody sagging, thinking that they're going to be ripped off. For me, I look at you and looking at you in a position of saying the only people who can change that is people on top. Chief Morales, I mean, you just slammed everything that we was just talking about. But I want you to share a little bit. If there's any other programs that you have, can you share that with me?
Right. Part of state legislation was a TRIP program, and that's the Transit Rider Investment Program. And in 8 days on February 23rd, we will be deploying our TRIP agents out there, and they're going to conduct fare enforcement operations. Now, our community service officers, part time students, they're currently conducting the fare enforcement operations. So they're going to have the TRIP agents out there conducting 5 weeks of field training. After that, I will deploy my community service officers out to our BRT, Bus Rapid Transit,
Yes.
and we're going to begin our Bus Rapid Transit at the Brooklyn Center Transit Center, BCTC. And the whole purpose of this is to remind people of their duty and responsibility to pay their fares. So I appreciate the fact that I have this platform so that people who listen to this understand that we're going to start enforcing the fare there. But more importantly, we will have our TAP agents out there, Transit Assistance Program, for people that they cannot afford the fare. We will help you apply for a reduced fare. It's not our objective to summons people to issue them citations and bring them into further financial ruin. What we're trying to do is educate you so that we can help you succeed utilizing the transportation system and getting to your destination.
So what you're saying is that you want just to be fair, getting them to a point where they understand that you have to pay, but there's some other alternatives that you can do if you don't have.
Absolutely. Not only are we going to have the community service officers doing fare checks on the bus lines, but we will offer you tuition assistance under the TAP program, Transit Assistance Program, to get a reduced fare of $1 if you apply and you qualify.
It changed the way folks looking at your department and the way that you're doing it. Yes, community service. Yes, bringing your information out there. And yes, letting them understand that you ain't playing. Because once you show them that you are not playing and you're not patting them on the hand, you already know. Their expectation is always going to be high when you give them high expectation, no matter who they are. And so my thing to you is that you're doing it. My question is how you get the information out. It's the most important thing that you can do. So for me, brother, this platform is for you.
Thank you. And I appreciate the opportunity because I think that this needs to be repeated on a regular basis. I want to make this very clear for everybody who's listening. Without public safety, we have no prosperity. I'm going to repeat that again. Without public safety, we have no prosperity. And if you doubt that, look at downtown St. Paul, look at downtown Minneapolis, and you understand that we're slowly dying.
Exactly. And that's why we need you to come, to help, to assist, to partnership, to make this place that we love so much to become a better citizen and a better state and a better city. Shoot, Chief, I'm just like, to me, I want to say thank you so much for giving us the time to visit us. And I'd like to say thank you to the Minnesota Spokesman-Recorder for giving us the chance to be in a position of sharing this.
Yes, so I just want to remind everybody to please follow our platforms at Metro Transit PD on Facebook and Instagram, and on X, formerly known as Twitter, at MTPD MN. If you're looking to join the MTPD, please go to metrotransit.org/join MTPD.
The other thing too is I know that I was going to close it, but I want to make sure that everything that you need to know or everything that you want to people to understand, especially in our community, because I realize that yes, this is a black, program, but we have Hmongs, we got Asians, Hispanic Latinos, we got Native American, we got Somalis. We want them to understand that this is part of that tent. Is there anything that you need to say outside of the closing remarks? But we want you to be in a position of saying some things that you have not said but needs to be said to our community.
I love you all, and we need to love each other. This is a shared responsibility, and tomorrow will be a better day. But we have to think about the mission together, and that's to be in a happy place.
All right, Chief, thank you so much.
Thank you. And I appreciate this opportunity to once again share my vision and my thoughts with your audience.
Thank you.